Bhagavad Gita Shloka 2.16. नासतो विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्त्वा अनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Translation: those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So, here in this shloka, what you will see, there is Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, um, he's he is Bhagwan himself, but he's saying that those who are seers of the truth have concluded, and he is telling about the material body, and which is he's saying is non-existent, as in um, no endurance or no sustenance, does not exist eternally, and the eternal, which is the soul, and there is no change to it. So he's telling it, but he's saying that it is not just him, it is the seers of the truth. That is what he's emphasizing, although he's Bhagwan himself. And that, how they have concluded, he's saying that they have concluded by studying the nature of both. This is not speculation, they have studied the nature of the both. So that is what he's saying, and this is like a indication for us also how we should take to spiritual life when it comes to acquiring knowledge or understanding or hearing discourses. So this is the approach we should take. This is what Lord is telling. So Prabhupada says that um, there are two things, Sat and Asat. Sat, which means permanent, permanently exists, and Asat means which does not exist or is temporary. It appears and then again disappears. An example Prabhupada gives is that of sky and cloud. Cloud appears, exists for some time, then again disappears, but the sky always exists. When the cloud appears, it has got some activities. That is, there is some rainfall, and after the rainfall, as a result, the ground, there is some new vegetation, there is flowers and fruits and etc. The trees, they everything blossoms, and everything looks very green. So here the analogy of cloud and sky was used, and cloud, which appears and disappears, um, is not false, but it is temporary. Similarly, matter or this material world is not false, but it is non-permanent. That is what Prabhupada is saying. That is what analogy is being used here for. Bhutva bhutva praliyate, Bhagavad Gita 8.19 shloka. This is something Mayavadi philosophers, they very often use this phrase, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, and this is very deluding, the message they give. The spirit is truth, and Jagat, the material world, is untruth, Mithya, false. That is not our approach. Prabhupada says that we say that, and as per Bhagavad philosophy, as per Vaishnavism, that everything is emanating from the Supreme. When the Supreme is spiritual, then what emanates from that spiritual truth is also spiritual. It cannot be false, right? Um, so it can be material energy here. It can be said to be temporary, but we cannot say it is false, right? So that is what the message is. So yato va imani bhutani jayante. Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1. Prabhupada says that everything is emanating from this Brahman, the supreme absolute truth. Because this absolute truth is emanating from absolute truth, therefore nothing false can come from it, right? When you say something is truth, there can be no falsity in that. So this is our philosophy. The material world may be temporary, but it is not false, right? Um, Now, in the previous verse, Prabhupada says that Krishna said, those who are not disturbed by the material changes. right? That shloka, sama dukha sukham dhiram, so amritatva kalpate. Our human mission is to come to the platform of amrit tattvam, immortality. So, what is the meaning of this? So if it is a fact that there is possibility of becoming immortal, that is sat. That's what the scripture is saying here, right? Um, the message. So, so our purpose, life's purpose, our business, our purpose, life's purpose should be to be engaged in the sat platform, not the asat platform. That which is spiritual, that which was immortality, that which is uh, pure and spiritual. Asad, which is um, temporary here, right? You mentioned earlier, temporary. So not permanent. Asad platform is non-permanent, or according to somebody's opinion, which is what the Mayavadi philosophers say is false. But we say, our philosophy, Prabhupada says, is that we see that it is non-permanent. It is temporary. Asat platform. It appears and disappears, but we never say it's false. So because everything is emanating from the absolute truth, who is truth, absolute truth. So everything is spiritual from the spiritual truth. So because he's spiritual and eternal, and he's absolute truth. So what comes from is also is truth, not false. So Asat platform is material or non-permanent but not false. So the real human civilization, so non-permanent, whatever it may be, the real human civilization should be based on the purpose of becoming immortal, sat, not asat. So the purpose is that we should not invest our time or energy flourishing, developing what is non-permanent, but what is permanent. And we should be detached from the non-permanent and attached to the permanent. But as it happens to be right now, by the time we are in Kali Yuga, um, things have gone out of control, and there is so much emphasis on what is asat, which is temporary. You see, there is so many industries and products which are related to just the body and no concern related to the soul. There are so many kinds of lotions, creams, and stuff. So many different types of detergents, and every year they say this is the best toothpaste, best detergent, and there's no end to it. So it's like every year this is happening. So what was it? What you said was earlier the best is no longer the best, and then today you have something best. That is not um, the way to progress. We won't call this a progress. This is we could have said that we have progress had we invested our time and energy into spirituality, making progress or focusing on the soul rather than on the non-permanent, impermanent material stuff. Which is not how it was earlier in the previous yugas, but this is the degradation. By the time we are in Kali Yuga, this is how it is, and this is what we call modern civilization or advancement. So, Aishtim yat punarjanma. Ahesitam yat punarjanma jayaya. Yat tat punarjanma jayaya. The whole effort was how to conquer over birth and death. So modern people, they do not understand that birth and death can be conquered. So Prabhupada made a comparison that this is the distinction between Indian and other countries, Eastern civilization and Western or other civilization. India emphasized on the sat portion, the permanent portion, the spiritual civilization. Earlier, the aim was how to make this life perfect so that I can become immortal. That is, they were more focused on spiritual soul um, earlier, but now it's even we are so. Influenced by the Western civilization. We have been ruled by Mughals and British, um, and Western civilization influence we have via TV and media and movies, etc., and all that industries. And this is how it is. Um, we have lost our focus, what we believe. So they imagine or expect that somebody someday, even the Western civilization people, they believe that. Um, they believe that we will someday we will be able to achieve this immortality, um, via advancement in scientific advancement. By making progress in scientific advancement, we will be able to achieve this immortality. But here, right now in Bhagavad Gita, the discourse given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra 5,000 years back, Krishna said that it is a fact that we should be interested in the permanent life, not temporary life. The material life is temporary. So we may live for 10 billion, 10 years or 10 hours. There are some living entities which live for 10 minutes, and there are some living entities which are living for 10 millions or billions of years. Just like in Brahmaloka, they live billions of years. So all these duration of life, different types of duration of life are there within this material world, depending on the planetary systems, higher and lower planetary systems. But still, it is not permanent. Anywhere in this material universe, whether high or low planetary system or Earth planet system, it is material world and it is not permanent. Even if you live for 10 billions of years, you live for 10 minutes or you live for 10 minutes or 10 seconds, it is non-permanent. So that is being explained here. Na sato vidyate bhava. Asataha, or this material body, it has no endurance. It will not endure. It will not be permanently existing. It will not sustain forever. Na bhavo vidyate sataha, and the soul is permanent. It has no change. It will never be non existent. Krishna is explaining all this. When Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, you, me, and all these kings and soldiers who have assembled here, it is not that we did not exist in the past. So what is that? What does it mean? That means we are not this body. This body was not existing in the past, in my past life or duration of life. But I, as a soul, I am existing now. I did exist in the past and I will continue to exist in the future. That is Sat. The soul is Sat. Body, we have been changing every time we take birth. We get a new body and we discard our old body, and that is material body. So that is asat or temporary body. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura has sung Sat Sanga Chadi Kenu Asate Vilasa Te Karane Lagilo Ye Karma Bandha Phasa. So, karma bandha phasa, which means entangled, sometimes threads. Prabhupada gives an example that sometimes threads they become entangled, they get intertwined, and you're not able to separate one from other, or you're not able to find the beginning of the roll of the thread. Um, and as a result, sometimes it gets wasted, spoiled. So, on account of our attachment to this material body, we are becoming entangled. So, it should not be that the end of life you feel that it's a we have wasted our entire life. That should not be the stage we should reach. We should reach the stage where we can say that we have properly utilized this material body for realizing the spiritual truth. Then it's considered useful, the purpose of life, the mission of life. Sat Sangha Chadi Kainu Asate Vilasa. This meeting, Prabhupada gives an example. This meeting every day, when you hear discourse of Bhagavad Gita shloka, or in temple you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, or you attend a japa session. This meeting, this discussion, this association, this is called satsanga. Satsanga, because here there is no other business. We are not indulging in any nonsensical activity or discussing material things or material life, worldly movies, etc. Here we are only talking about the spirit soul, about Lord Krishna, about purpose, our relationship with Krishna, and how to act to satisfy this Lord Sri Krishna. This is the business here. This is the purpose. This is the reference is being given here. And if you have heard Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrita, or you have seen movies or heard about Srila Prabhupada, how he made some phenomenal changes across the globe. Usually, the many times when Srila Prabhupada went to West to preach, there are so many times he went and bought the already existing place. Sometimes, for example, here he gives an example that he was having a class in this Pigot's Manor earlier. Um, he bought this place in West. I believe it's in UK. Now it is named as sorry, it's Pigot's Manor. Yeah. So we have a Prabhupada named it was named to Bhaktivedanta Manor. So what was the difference? Formerly, it was used for sense gratification. Now it is meant for elevating one to the spiritual standard of life. So that way, anything, all the material can be changed and can be used for the purpose of satsanga. Then it's considered utilized well. Satsanga mukta dusanga. So if you continue sat, as it is said, satsanga, then you advance in spiritual life. And if you associate with asat, then you become degraded. And this is the policy. So satsanga chadi kenu asate vilasate karane lagila mora karma banda phasa. Don't be entangled. Try to become liberated from the entanglement. And that is the mission of life. That is the purpose of life. So these things cannot be understood as long as we are in the darkness. Darkness means sinful life, right? It's life of ignorance. Darkness means sinful life. So, and spiritual life means spiritual life leads to spiritual realization, understanding the spiritual truth. So it is called liberation. So it's liberating. Um, that's actually it's the spiritual life is the life of actual real knowledge, jnana. Through the light of knowledge, we can remove this darkness of ignorance which covers our soul, and which finally one day will free us from this entanglement and liberate us and bring us on a spiritual transcendental platform. And we can be in our actual Swarupa and we can go back home, back to Godhead. So that is how it is. So we should be purified. The whole human life is meant for purification. Yasmat Shuddhet Sattvam, Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.1. Sattva means existence, Shuddhet means becoming purified. Just like Prabhupada gives an example, just like a diseased man who has been contaminated by some disease needs to undergo some medical treatment to be purified from this contamination. Similarly, we are impure in this material existence. After having taken this material body and um, being part of this material world, this material existence, we have been adding to this material existence, adding to our subtle body, our material mind. We have made it so material, impure. We have been adding impurities, ignorance, agyan to this mind, this body from time immemorial. And we need to remove this impurity to realize the absolute truth, to see things as they are, you know. So similarly, we are impure in this material existence by contamination of the three modes of material nature. What are those? Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamaguna, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So even if we are contaminated by the quality of the goodness of this material world, that is contamination, that is conditioning, that also causes our entanglement. Maybe very fine entanglement, but it is contamination and entanglement. Prabhupada gives an example. For example, if a Brahmana, if he thinks that now I have Brahmanical qualification, I'm well educated, I'm very cleansed, I'm very controlled. These things are Brahmanical qualification, very good qualifications. I know what is what, Jnanam Vijnanam, but he does not. If he does not try to become immortal, that is, he does not try to liberate himself from this entanglement, material entanglement, and just he's satisfied being on that platform. That is not enough. That is also bondage, because this is also designation, right? Some kind of designation. I'm Brahmana, I am Kshatriya, I am Vaishya, I am Shudra, or so and so. In our material life, we get so many designations like so and so job designation and like that, relationship designation, things like that. So, but these are all entanglements. This is not, so you need to make progress. Even Brahmana needs to make progress. So even though he's very learned, Satya, Shamo, Damas, Titiksha, Shuchi, all these are good qualities, you know. But if he does not try to go further ahead, how to become immortal, achieve liberation, then it is also entanglement, very fine entanglement. And those who are passionate, they are thinking, I'm so rich, powerful, I've got so many businesses, bank balance, and big family, nice wife, this and that. These these are the passion conception of life. They are also bound up, certainly bound up in this material entanglement. And those who are ignorant, for example, um, They don't know what is the value of life. They are lying down anywhere, lazy, sleeping, unclean, and do not value the life, do not know the value of life. They are ignorant. They're wasting time. They are firmly bound up. Um, so liberation means the more you're enlightened in the value of life, the more you become liberated. And the more you become liberated, the more you are advanced in your spiritual knowledge. Sata, satsanga. Therefore, these meetings, these sessions, these courses, whatever you attend every day in through Zoom or in temple or anywhere, they're meant for advancing in spiritual life. Um, because here there's no discussion related to money or how to become rich, have more motor cars or cars, a bank balance, grow your bank balance, and have nice dress and this and that. These are all material things. Or ignorance. Prabhupada gives an example: how to sleep whole day, how to plan, contrive, how to sleep whole day, or increase your sleep. That is ignorance. Another thing is shunyavadi. These people who talk about becoming void or part of void. This is not life. Activity is life. It is our nature. The eternal nature of the soul is to be active. One of the qualities. Activity is life. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 17.31. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhagwan Sri Krishna, who is Sri Krishna himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, don't become zero, but be engaged always in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hari Katha, this participating or hearing this glorification of the Lord, or discourses, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, or Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and the uh, explanations from our Goswamis, Gaudiya Goswamis, sons. That all, so that is liberating. That is Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult. We are not going to be zero or as some talk about void and all that. So that is we should be focused on the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu scriptures, not anything which is not through Guru Parampara. So we want to be very active, but active not for sense gratification, not for our own sense gratification, but for Krishna service. So Krishna service is how to worship Krishna. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedam. So these are nine kinds of services, and these are sat. The more we are engaged in these nine kinds of different occupation of devotion service, the more we are elevated, and the more we are engaged in these activities of material sense gratification, then we get degraded. We are put more in ignorance. Otherwise, if we do devotion service, worship, and these nine activities, we become liberated. We are elevated on the platform of sat. So that is how it is. Therefore, Krishna says this is the distinction between sat and asat. Um, And Krishna Kirtana is so important. In the Shastra, many places it is said Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Rajit. That Param means spiritual. There are two kinds of Prakriti, Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. This material world is Apara, inferior energy. Itas tu Vidhi me Prakritim Param. Besides this, there is another Prakriti, another nature which is Para. Um, para means spiritual. So we should be interested in what is Para, not Apara, which is material. Because uh, here, as it is mentioned, Ubhayorapi, considering both the para and apara, the superior and inferior, Tattvadarshibhi, who will study? Tattvadarshi means that those who realize the truth. And we find this truth, Tattva, from scriptures and people, or say souls, the gurus, acharyas who have realized, who are known as Tattvadarshi, who have realized the truth. And this Tattva word you will come across in many places. Prabhupada says that Tattva means truth, Tattvata means absolute truth, and what is tattva? Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdete. That tattva is called sometimes called Brahman, sometimes Paramatma, and sometimes Bhagwan. But Bhagwan is the last word of tattva, highest level. And in this verse, particularly, you will see that Krishna says Tattva Darshibi. It has to be concluded by higher authorities. He is himself authority, he is Bhagwan himself, but he's saying um, these great personalities are saying this because they have realized this absolute truth. So he's teaching us how to take spiritual life, how to progress in spiritual life. Where should we hear from? Who is the authority? He is not saying that I say. Sometimes he says matam mam. That is my opinion. But here he is saying Tattvadarshibhi. This is our approach. People, authorities who have realized the absolute truth, Tattvadarshibhi, we should approach them. And so he's by following this principle of authoritative principle, Tattvadarshibhi, he's teaching us. Um, and Ubhayor api drishto antaha, conclusion. So he's saying that Lord Krishna is saying that this is Sat and this is Asat, this is the permanent and this is non-permanent. And he's giving evidence that Tattvadarshibhi, those who have seen the truth, they have concluded that this means authority. And so, and this is the way of understanding whether it is Tattvadarshibhi or is some worldly person. So Prabhupada gives an example. He's emphasizing that we also give reference sometimes in modern age that so and so person or personality or professor has said so and so, um, but they are not Tattvadarshibhi. They are not. They are actually speculators. Tattvadarshibhi is who has realized the absolute truth, who is talking about scriptures, absolute truth. Um, so we have to go to Tattvadarshi. So this tattva from Tattvadarshi, that is authoritative, and others, if you approach some worldly person, that is not authoritative. That is speculation. So speculation means mental platform. It has no value. As this body is also non-permanent, the mind is also flickering. Sometimes it accepts something, sometimes it rejects something, and that is how it is. Sometimes it accepts something and later it rejects that. And so mind cannot be Tattvadarshi. Of course, we have to think with mind. We utilize the mind for thinking, but under the direction of authority. Then we can reach real Tattva. And Bhagwan is the last word of Tattva. So this is how it is, and this is what Prabhupada has emphasized. Um, so these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as is the case, for example, the master and servant, the teacher and the taught. So living entities, these tiny living entities, infinitesimal part and parcel of the um, absolute truth. We are from the marginal potency, which is actually potency of the Supreme Lord Bhagwan, and we are very infinitesimal. As Bhagavad Gita says, the size of the soul is like 1/10,000% of the tip of the hair. So that is how we are, very tiny. And Bhagwan is the absolute truth. He is the energetic. We are part of one of his energies, and that is marginal energy, uh, Tatashta Shakti. So we Jivatmas from the Tatashta Shakti region. That is, um, we are in the marginal region of the spiritual. That is, one side we have the spiritual world, another side we have the material world, and we have a choice. And because we are infinitesimal, we get attracted sometimes by material world or material energy, sometimes by spiritual energy, uh, because of our very tiny infinitesimal nature. But otherwise, we are also spiritual or spiritual energy of the Lord. Um, but Lord has many energies, and He's completely spiritual. So, material world or material energy or this material world is a arrangement for us to realize ourselves, through life after life. Once we come to a stage, we say, "What is this? This material? How can I be ultimately be happy? Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm not happy." And we see around things, the temporary nature of the material world. Then we inquire and we approach and we hear and we make progress, and maybe takes time to achieve perfection, but it never gets wasted. Whatever progress you make in spiritual life, or once you come to spiritual life, it never gets wasted. If you Even if a person is supposed to take birth, he will continue his progress in the spiritual journey from where he left. So if you somebody completes his 50%, he will start from 51, like that. But that is not the case. We cannot say about the material world. Whatever things you acquire in this material world, whatever material affluence you acquire, it becomes zero once but we leave this material body. We start again afresh. um, you know so that is the temporary nature of this material world, and what we should be invested in the spiritual progress. That is the real purpose of life. That is the mission. That is what this shloka is um, This is the message. So thank you, Prabhuji Mataji. Thanks for joining. If anybody's any question, please ask before we log off. Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining. Okay. So if no, if nobody has any question, we'll call it a day. So thanks for joining. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.